Okay. Fourth place, the reels. Fang. Doesn't quite have the body to compete with some of the bucks above him. He's a little bit longer through the shoulder, peaks a little bit early, and lacks a touch of depth of body. He does fill out fairly well through his lower hindquarter. Doesn't quite have the texture of the bucks above him. He's immature and unfinished in his coat. Blasphemy? Pretty good name. Again, a little bit of extra length through the shoulder, a little bit uneven and rough over his rise. Does peak fairly correctly, narrows a little bit toward the base of the hindquarter and does slope somewhat. Doesn't quite have the finish compared to the bucks above him, a little bit uneven in his density. Second place, Beetlejuice. Nice buck. Good length of body, very good depth. Does peak a little bit early, a touch catchy over his hips and narrow toward the base of his hindquarter. He's got good texture over his back. Guard hair is a touch long and he's a little bit unfinished over his shoulder. Raymoy? Something like that? I tried. Okay. Very nice buck, very good balance of depth, length, and width of body. Slight flat spot over the upper loin. Very slightly narrow toward the base of the hindquarter. He's got beautiful texture, finish, and color. Very nice animal.
All of them?
Yeah, there's two.
Okay, what do we have? Sixth in the class?
Yep.
Sixth place is little baby RHJA.
Yes.
Doesn't quite have the body to compete with some of the does above her. She's a little bit longer and flatter in her overall type, peaks over the center of the back, has a few flat spots over her hindquarter. Fairly good texture, a little bit on the coarser side. She needs to grow up. Ember, gonna be fifth. She's got very good depth of body, fairly good length of body, but does slope over her hindquarter compared to the does above her. She's also a little bit unfinished in her coat and uneven in her texture. 4th place. 4 nice does. Bertha. She's a little bit longer through the shoulder. Does have very good depth of body, but narrows somewhat toward the base of her hindquarter. Doesn't quite have as much flesh condition as some of the does above her. She's also a little bit unfinished in her coat and a touch coarser over her chest and sides, or her shoulder and sides. F-O-E-R-E. One of the best top lines in the class. She's got good balance of depth, length, and width, peaks very correctly, turns well over her hip, but she is catchy over her hips and narrows toward the base of her hindquarter, which is why she can't place any higher today. A little bit unfinished in her coat, but fairly good texture over her back. Nudge. A little bit of extra shoulder length, does peak fairly correctly, but again a little bit catchy over the hips and narrow toward the base of her hindquarter. She's got better texture over her back than the doe beneath her, but still a little bit unfinished compared to the first place animal. Stora. Gonna be first. Short-bodied animal, peaks fairly correctly, super deep body, little bit of a flat spot over her upper loin. Filled out fairly well toward the base of her hindquarter. Very good texture, very good finish, and very good color. Okay, so the junior doe will be best of variety, the junior buck will be opposite. Day and softer in her texture.
What's that?
Here, hand that one to your mom and you put it right here. We'll go all the way around, put it right there. Where's she going? Right here? Okay.
I think so.
This is the only one that's
We're on Amanda back, Austin.
Okay.
Right here.
Izzy. She's primarily losing on type, just a little bit longer and lower through the shoulder, carries some extra length through her midsection, and narrows somewhat toward the base of the hindquarter. Fairly good surface color, a little bit blotchy and uneven over her hindquarter, and uneven in her texture. Lizzie. Very nicely typed doe, just doesn't have the finish to compete with the does above her today. Super well balanced in her depth, length, and width. Peaks correctly, very tight turn over the hip. She's just very unfinished in her coat today, especially over her shoulder. She's spoiling her texture. Okay, third place, Max. A little bit of extra length through the shoulder and midsection compared to the does above her. Doesn't quite have the depth of body to balance her width. Good width of loin. A little bit uneven in her density. Wonder. She's got a shorter body than the third place animal, but lacks some of the depth and width to balance it out. Also narrows slightly toward the base of her hindquarter. Fairly good texture in some places, a little bit coarser in others, a little bit of extra length to her guard hair in some places. Isteroid, something like that. Interesting name. Okay. Good length of body, lacks a little bit of depth to balance it out. She's super wide, good width of loin, very good texture, best texture and density in the class. Nice doe. Okay, the doe will be best, the buck will be opposite. To lose her ages in my Hollands. Not happening. Just the one buck. Biohazard. Fair enough. Okay. Fairly good length of body, maybe a little bit of extra midsection length. He's super deep. Just peaks a little bit early. He's got good texture over his top of his body. Fairly good density, but he's very uneven and unfinished in his condition and lighter down his sides. So what's the blue supposed to be? Joe. Joe? Sounds good. Jewel. Very pretty doe. Good balance of depth, length, and width. Just peak a little bit early. Right now she's a little bit unfinished in her coat, but she's got really lovely density. Just doesn't quite have as much, doesn't have the texture to there. So we move the doe to the right?
Yeah.
Stay in there, babe. Okay, some really pretty animals today. The best and best opposite of breed are going to be the blacks.
In the codes, I'd like to see beautiful depth in that buck. It's really pretty.
There's another black one.
Hey, girl. Okay, Kim. Number 4 is Blasphemy. Blasphemy is a little bit babyish in that head, but bigger problem is he's very late in that shoulder. He's late and low and long in that shoulder. Good depth over the hind end, but a little bit of give. He's very angular throughout. He's having a bad hair day today. It's
I
really
think all
off.
of them are.
I know. He's really open in that coat, lacking a lot of finish to the coat.
Come on, Bubby.
Number 3, a little more coat, belongs to Fang. Fang has a good head and ears. He also is just a little bit of give in that shoulder, a little bit hollow in that hip. He does have more coat, but it's still not quite the finish of the 2 rabbits above it. It's dead right over that rump line throughout. A lot of depth of body in this rabbit. Good black color. Okay, guys, just go watch. I just sling
I
that
know,
out.
I am so
Whoops.
I'm so tired. I'm like a log.
Well, that's okay. I'm thinking rabbits, and I forget to watch the cages. I just did a fair, and I had to tell all. It was longer than that,
Oh,
and I had to tell all the kids you have to watch.
yeah. Ours did the same. We just had county fair 2
Yeah.
weeks ago.
I said I am looking at the rabbits, and I'm not paying attention. So, okay, number 2 in our class. Very pretty luster is Straymoy, something.
Something.
Yeah, you have that
Yep.
one? Okay,
Yep.
whatever it
Ends
says.
in M-O-Y.
Okay, you have
Go
to
with that.
Has a good head and ears, just a little bit low in the shoulders as compared to number 1. Beautiful depth and turn over that hip. He has a lot of luster to that coat, a lot of texture to the coat, but loses on those shoulders. Number 1. A lot quicker, a lot better in that shoulder area. Belongs to Beetlejuice. Has a good head and ears, nice start out of the shoulder, good turn over the hip and hind end. He has a lot of luster to that coat. It's not quite finished. It's a baby coat transition, but a lot of promise to that coat. Oh no. Because Arla's pets, oh, they got
Oh, yeah, he had those kids. He get frustrated with them.
okay. Go back. Number 6 in our class belongs to R405. Okay. That was a good guess, huh?
Yeah.
That baby in the head and ears just hasn't in balance there. I like how she comes up at the shoulder, but she lacks some development in that hip area, not quite as well filled. She's got a good depth of body, but lacking the width and the fill. She's baby in her coat. It's transitioning coat, so it's not quite finished in that coat. I love this coat, and I don't like it. It's got too many pockets on the side. This rabbit has a lot more width to balance. Who is it? Ember. I was going to make it Empress. Has a lot more body, good shoulder, midsection, a lot more width of body than the rabbit I just placed. Very promising texture of coat. It's not quite a finished coat. It's baby down that sideline throughout. Has baby head, good promise. This is Bertha. Bertha's got a baby head and ears. She really doesn't balance in that front end. Lacking a little bit in the shoulder. Love the depth and turn over the hip and hind end. Love her texture. She doesn't have the density to go any further with that. I might have to look at these again. Okay. Number 3 in our class. 3 really pretty does. This is 4. Phoebe, that'll work. She has a good start out of that shoulder, nice midsection. She has a good depth over the hind end, slight taper in the hind end. She's not quite as well filled in that hip, not quite all throughout. She's also transitioning coats, but the decision was on that hip to the Rapids another in the class. Okay, pretty girl. That's a good girl. Finished. Number 2 is Nudge. Nudge, similar comments. She has a good start out of that shoulder, a lot of depth over the hind end. This doe has a little more fill in the hip than the doe I just placed. She has very promising density of coat, but it's not finished. I have a doe above them that's got a finished coat throughout. She's just not quite finished over that back line. It's a little bit babyish. Really like the type. Beautiful doe with the finish today. This is Stora. Stora comes up with a nice shoulder, good turn over that hip and hind end, beautiful depth of body in this doe. She also carries a finish, beautiful texture and finish to the coat. Texture. Okay, Kim, I have to go with the junior doe as my best. My senior buck is my office. That hip and hind end. She has a good density. She's off in her texture. A little too long in the guard hair, spoiling that texture. Watch, there's a lot of stray white hairs in that doe. Orion. Orion is rising. Orion's just a little bit narrow in that head, good length to the ears. He starts with a good shoulder and a nice depth over that hip. He can use a little more fill. His bigger problem is he's lacking density. He's got a lot of texture to the coat, but he doesn't have the density to go with it. You can fix that. Fur's the easier part to fix than body. Yeah. Okay. This is Ozzy. Ozzy has a good head and ears. He's a little bit of give in that hip area throughout, not quite as well filled in that hip, but he has a beautiful coat, nice texture to the coat. It's not finished, but it's a lot of texture. Be careful, the coat's getting short.
Okay, you hear that?
The coats are getting short.
Yeah.
So watch that when you get there.
Yeah, see how short they are?
Yeah, it's definitely shorter.
Oh, well, hopefully, I don't know, I know as he gets older, he probably will get more depth.
Yeah.
What was too short?
The coat's getting short. Feel how quick that is. Right?
Oh yeah.
It's too short. You see right through there?
Yeah.
Then that's why you can't get any as much
Not
texture.
getting
You're not getting that roll.
Now, with this side, maybe the bill will be for an hour and a half to get the road. Well, it depends on how fast we will be driving. And then we're straight down I-5 to road, right over there. We used to go to the Red Bluff wholesale.
Okay, yeah.
When I was a
Yeah.
kid, yeah.
Still happening.
Yeah.
Easy. Lizzie has a baby head and ears. She's out of balance with her head and ears. Just a little bit of give in the shoulder, a little bit of give in the hind end. She's baby throughout. Very promising baby. This is a really nice class of rabbit. She has a baby coat. That's hurting her in the class. Good chocolate color, but very immature in that coat. What is that?
Jeez.
This is Izzy. Izzy, better, but she's still babyish and had better balance to her ears throughout. She too is a little bit laid in that shoulder, good depth over the hip and hind end. She carries a little more fill than the doe I just placed. She's also a baby in her coat, transitioning. Beautiful lilac color, very promising in that lilac color. Love it.
I know I bred a doe up at Rickreall to Mary Jo's, one of the nice, really nice lilac bucks. And her mother carries chocolate on one side, and then, yeah. When we were sold her and I were so excited. We're going to get lilacs.
All black.
All black. All black.
They carry it though, you'll be good.
Yeah,
Good.
plump little babies, all black.
Amanda. Amanda's a little narrow in the head and a little long in the ears. She does have more fill in her body. Good shoulder, nice turn over the hip and hind end. She really is different in her coat. Now see, I think this one's longer.
Oh, and the other one's really short. Huh.
Feel, look at this. Look at the deep length.
Ooh, yeah. That is a really deep length.
No, because look at this baby.
That one's short.
And look at this.
That one's long.
So fuzzy in texture.
Fuzzy.
Not quite the finish of
She
coat
went to
throughout.
her toe and the light suck it in.
But I would, if you're fighting the other, not that I would want that,
Right.
but if you wanted to do the other, you might work with it.
We're working there.
It's always something.
Struggle.
This is Wonder. Wonder has a baby head, good length to the ears, love the body, good turn over that hip and hind end, very pretty in there. She's got a lot of texture of coat throughout, not quite the density of the two rabbits above her in the class, but very promising in that coat. Yeah, very big difference in the coat.
Interesting.
Yep. Oh, now I have to start thinking about that. Let me have a look here. Girls are very pretty girls. Number 2, love this doe, Max. Max has beautiful type, good turn over that hip and hind end. One little spot where she's not quite finished right in the middle of the back as compared to number 1. Very pretty doe, very promising, like her a lot. And number 1 carries the finish of class throughout, carries the finish of coat throughout, very pretty. It's like the 3 bears, too short, too long, just right. This is Estuary or something. Good turn over that hip and hind end. She has the finish of coat today to go farther. Little bit of, very pretty. Beautiful.
Come out beautiful. And they're pulling me to the dark side. So I always just one of my blacks. And then they keep saying, no, the rainbow.
Chocolate's hard though.
Yeah.
It is hard.
Ted
'cause
was
you'll-
saying that if we really want to get it, we have to breed chocolate to chocolate.
Biohazard. Biohazard has a good type. Nice turn over the hip and hind end. Not quite, you can see, not quite finished down the sidelines. Just a little bit of a tickle in that texture. So you wanted to ask about this, take your fingertips. Now feel across this. Now you'll feel the guard hair come. Can you feel the guard hair's thicker?
Yeah.
So there's a difference in coats that way.
Let me feel. Oh, I can't get it.
Undercoat, so you'd have a thicker guard hair. Black buck.
gorgeous weather, even in Myrtle Point where the show's at. It was just beautiful weather.
Oh, that's so nice.
Normally,
Well, hey, come on. Our chocolate buck will be my opposite of breed. The broken dough will be my best of breed.